Today we're going to make Pozole Rojo. Now, Pozole Rojo is a traditional Mexican dish. It is very, very, very economical. It's very simple. You can see there aren't many ingredients, and you can even omit this. But yeah, everything else you would want. Now you can change this to chicken. But I'm going to cut as much fat off of this as I can. And I'm going to kind of cook it and get some of that fat out of there and brown it. Normally you just throw it raw into water. But I want a little bit more flavor in mine. So I'm going to do that. And, also so I can get some of this fat off of here. But yeah, use chicken if you like. But this dish is always incredible. It looks spicy, but it's not. It's just, like chili powder, like you would put in, well, you can use chili powder. But I have the real thing here. I have these guajillo chilies, and we'll be using that. So, basically it's bay leaves, guajillo chilies. I like putting some oregano leaves in. These are Mexican style. You always put Mexican oregano in generally at the very end of the dish. And you kind of rub it together in your hands. Black pepper, lots of garlic. And of course, the pork. Now, people make it different. Some people want to put arbol chilies in it. You can do that if you want a little bit more heat. And if you don't know where to find these guajillo, most markets have them. They'll be in the international food section, usually on the very lower shelf. They're in the bottom. That's why you don't see them or pay attention to them. So, but most markets have it. If they don't feel shy about going into your local mercado or a Mexican market and getting what you need. They have some amazing deals there. And they have a huge variety. So, in fact, I forgot. The most important thing here, too, is the hominy. So, if you've never had hominy, it's basically like grits, but it's the dried corn that's been treated, and it kind of puffs up and gets all fat and good and delicious. And there's a certain process for that. Now, what I recommend is don't buy bushes, don't buy any of these other hominies. Stick with Juanita's hominy. Now, I know Walmart sells that. They usually sell it in a very large can. It's 110 ounces, I believe. I only want, and I know they sell like the 29 ounce cans somewhere in there. So I'm going to ask Chris to stop by our local Mercado and pick up 2 of the Juanita cans because I wasn't going to get 110 ounces of this. And I'm hoping I have enough meat here that you can see this was $20. We'll get a lot of meals just off the Pozole Rojo, but I'm hoping to get another meal of some kind out of this. Maybe pork adobo, where I'll reserve some meat so I can get another meal, which is something I like to do. Now, there are as many pozoles as there are colors in the Mexican flag. You have red, rojo, white, blanca, and green, verde. So let's get this pork going. I've got to trim it up. You can see the reverse side is all fat. So I'll trim all of that off and get this cooking. Now, one other thing I'd like to mention is the pozole is not just served with the hominy and pork. You can do what you want. You can add whatever toppings you want. But it is also usually topped with finely cut cabbage or thinly sliced radishes. You can serve it with pickled carrots and jalapeno, which I highly suggest looking up a recipe on doing those. I wanted to do them, but I don't think I'm going to have time today. And avocado is an option with this. So you have a lot of other vegetables that can go into this if you like them. And the beauty of this is if you have young kids and they're not keen on the cabbage or radishes or anything or avocados, you can usually get them to eat this dish. So it is very good that way. And you can load it up with as much veggies or whatever you want. It's your soup once you get your bowl. And if you wondered what this dish was for, I may add some spice. I'm not sure. I don't have a jalapeno, which I would normally put in, but I do have some pickled ones, and that's not going to hurt anything. So I may put a few jalapenos in there, but we'll see. Let me show you the meat over here. All right. Now, instead of this cut of meat, you can also do where they cut pork stew meat in some markets. And so the reason I chose this is because it's inexpensive. You can see I have a huge container here for my soup. I have a whole nother, I can do a million things with this. So I can do barbecue, I can do more soup, I can do pork adobo. I have a recipe for that. It's a Filipino dish, simple, easy, love it. But also the bone. So when I do broths and I do soups, I want a bone. And this butt has a huge bone, but you can add ribs, you can add pork chops, whatever you have laying around. In fact, for this dish, you may just want to keep some of those bones every now and then, or throw a rib or two off of a rack into the freezer. I do that. So let's get this going. All right, well, I changed my mind. So that pork was actually, I was able to trim it pretty easily. And I did leave some fatty pieces on, but it's pretty lean on the side that I chose to cut with the bone in it. So I'm happy where it's at. I'm just going to end for time. It's 3:45. We have a show over at Bimbo Barbarella Music Program tonight on Heart. So I'm hoping to get this done. And actually, I need to cook some chicken thighs. So I may just do a chicken adobo with that and do a Filipino dish for us to freeze or eat through the weekend. So, of course, this will have plenty of food for us to freeze. So I'm going to get this, it's in the pot, just regular water. I'm going to start putting the aromatics in. So I'll be back with that. Okay, here I have onion. That's a quarter of an onion, a bay leaf, garlic, and I have a few peppercorns in the bottom there. We'll fish those out later. And we're just going to cook this until the meat is tender. I'm also going to add a little bit of that broth in here too, just for a little extra seasoning and flavor. Okay, I put about 2 of these level of the broth. Now, depending on what broth you'll use, you may have a different amount. So yeah, just put this here and let it start going. And we'll come back about 15 minutes into it simmering. Okay, maybe I should have used a bigger pot. However, so if you're new to cooking, let me know, what are you? Are you in Team Skim or not? Because once you start cooking meat like this, you get so far into it, and then this starts coming up. I take it or leave it. But if you want a super clear broth, you'll definitely want to do this. And admittedly, I probably should have put my aromatics in after we got to this point. So I may add a little bit more. I know I already scooped up a bay leaf, so there we go. Learn from my mistakes. All right, so now we're going to deal with these chilies. Now, I have gotten to where I like the chilies better than, say, chili powder in the spice jar. Once you get used to cooking with them, the flavor is, you can't compare the flavor. It's so much better, so much richer. Although, you know, this is basically an enchilada sauce, kind of. Because I'm going to use pork broth. Now, I got all the seeds out. Always check the tips, because the seeds can be bitter. So, check for seeds. And if you have any of these big membranes, you know, the membranes are bitter too. So if I have any big ones, I try and pick those off, if you can see that. So here's a membrane here, and I'll just chip away at it. That's my preference. So I tend to do these on a paper plate for quick cleanup. Now my chilies are a bit old. I haven't made any authentic Mexican dishes in a while, but like I said, you buy the just regular chili like you would for chili at home if you want to make it easier. So now these, another way to enhance the flavor is you can take all the aromatics that you're going to use for your chili sauce, which for me it's going to be the garlic. I might, like I said, put a jalapeno pepper in there. I'll probably throw a bay leaf in there, and broth from our pork over here that's cooking to make our kind of sauce. So, you know, it blends it up, and then you have to strain it, which isn't a big deal. It's pretty easy. And, but you can put these in a pan, and your aromatics, your onion. Oh, I'm going to put some cebolla, some onion in there. So you can put all your aromatics on a, normally they would do this on a, what they call a comal, I believe, and get everything kind of roasty toasty on the oven top, or you can also put it, like, I've seen some people put it over a flame every now and then, but I'm just going to take off that end because I can't get deep in there. Like I said, so this one's a little bit more pliable, but it's still a little bit older. So you just keep doing this, and I use about, I may use, depends on, I may use another chili, because I only have 4 here. 5 would be really good. I make my own enchilada sauce. It's really easy too. It's basically just toast some chili powder, if you have it, and you want to toast that, and then a little bit, you don't want to burn it, and then you just add broth to it. That's basically enchilada sauce. Save a lot of money making your own. But I will say, the enchilada sauce in the store, I think El Paso brand, very low in sodium. So that's why I didn't put salt in this pork yet, because I did add that broth in the initial process of it. But I may add some salt later on. I think I have one more chili. Nope, that one's done too. All right, so my chilies are clean. And then you can just toss these seeds here and the membranes. They're left over. Now we're going to put these, some people put them in a different pan to soften them up and everything. But I'm just going to put them in this broth, in this pork while it's cooking, and a little bit later on, not right now. And soften these up for about 10 minutes, and then take them out. I'll use some broth, and I'll blend these. Probably going to use my regular blender, because even though there's not much heat to these, you know, I don't want a lot of splashback. So actually the heat's going to be on these seeds and everything I touch. So I'm going to use a little vinegar and get some of those oils off and wash my hands. All right, it is 5:07, so this has been cooking a while. And look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to add some more water to this, and then the next step is going to be adding those chilies that we prepared earlier. Now, another thing about this dish is you can obviously do this in steps. In fact, this would be like any soup, stew, it's always better the next day. Like you could make your broth and meat ahead one day and then and do your chili sauce or whatever. But yeah, do what works for you. All right, so I have added my chilies in to try and get them a little bit more soft and pliable. So that'll take about, 10-15 minutes. Then we'll fish those out along with any of the aromatics we can grab. All right, with the help of my little spider over there, I have pulled all of the chilies out, and I'm going to put you can see there's some onion, there's some garlic in there. There's probably even little pieces of meat, and that's okay. I'm just going to add, some broth there. And then we're going to blend this until, for a while. We want to see it smooth. We don't want to see any chunks of the chili in there. So I just want to give you a look at that broth before we get going here. I did remove, like I said, with the spider, got my meat out. Got my stuff in here. I'm going to start adding the rest of my aromatics. There were some peppercorns I fished out of there. I think I'm just going to throw a bay leaf in here. Yes. Other cultures actually blend a bay leaf or use them ground up. This is one dish where that could be appropriate. I'm going to peel these garlic. I have like 5 here. I want it really garlicky for me. And we're going to get this blending. So, and be careful when you blend. If it's hot, it can explode the lid off and splash liquid. So be very, very careful when blending hot liquids. All right, so now is a really good time to taste your broth. See if you need to add any sodium. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I'm not touching it. I'm going to leave it as is. Oh, so good. I'm going to get these blended. All right, trying to bring you in a little closer to the action. I've done a little cleanup. So I've blended my sauce here. And I'm not going to lie to you, when I tasted that, it tasted great. But then I was getting a little heat coming on. And I don't remember these chilies being that spicy. So what I'm going to do, now the great thing about this is you can make a huge batch of this and freeze it. So what I'm going to do here is put it through a strainer. You'll see we'll collect a lot of those veins and little bits that didn't get kind of blended. We're just going to work this through the sieve here. And we're going to put a little bit at a time. And that way too, if you've never had this, but you love a good soup, hearty soup, and something economical, yeah, feel free to do just this. I mean, I did add another chili because I thought some of them were a little small, but that's okay. All right, so that's enough, I think, to get us going. Sorry about that splotch there. So I'm going to wipe that up, and I'll be right back. All right, so what was interesting about this dish is that it's been around forever, like pre-Mesopotamia maybe. Of course, it was Aztec Mayan culture. And then also indigenous peoples have their own version. I understand. Using, I forget which it was. I think they're the Pueblo and the Hopi, or Hopi. So there are a couple cultures that use it, probably more. Let's face it. And some of them use blue corn, which is really cool, blue corn hominy. Others use a green chili. I believe that's is that Pueblo out of New Mexico, maybe? I don't know. But there's a great Wikipedia article on this dish. So check that out if you like. So I'm just mixing a little bit at a time in here. Let me get a clean spoon. I'm going to taste of it again. And see where we are with heat. Yeah, that is so unusual. So I'm not used to them being this spicy. That's good. That is really good. Now I'm going to add some water to this too, I know. So, let's see where we are here. And then, of course, we're going to be putting the cabbage and other cold veggies in here, and that'll cool things down and give us a nice texture. All right, I think I'm going to leave it there because I have plenty I can save for another batch of this, I think. So, yes, I'm happy there. So now, the next part is putting the meat back in. So, let me do that. There's some meat that's coming off the bone here. It's about ready. It's about ready to give up and let go. So, here we go. All this meat. Try not to splash back on yourself. And of course, I'll continue to taste this. Now, Chris is coming with the hominy. He's going to stop by the Mercado. Atlanta has a lot of Mercados, so we're very lucky. And most Mercados have a restaurant. Oh, you're going to get really good, cheap food there. Way better than your local Mexican restaurant. So, ours is mostly Mercado. They have a little window, and they have a meat section where they sell different meats. Some already like seasoned fajita meat, which is really good too. And it's already been marinated, so you can just walk in there after a hard day of work and pick up some fajita meat, onion, pepper, some fresh cilantro, and garlic, and go home and have some a quick stir fry. Actually, I'm going to add just a tad more to this. All right, so I'm going to put this back on a higher simmer, get the heat back up, let this kind of absorb into this meat here. And we will wait for the hominy. We're almost done. I just have to do my vegetables that I'm going to put, my fresh vegetables. And I'll show you that. And then once the hominy comes, you put that in, you let it simmer, 20, 30 minutes. The longer, the better. Of course, it's a soup stew thing. So, and we'll be right back with that. All right, so I'm going to continue pushing this through the sieve. If you've never done this before, you just kind of mash it through. And then look at all that on the other side, underside. Be able to scrape all that off and freeze that for otro dia, another day. So, this dish, though, is normally served New Year's, birthdays, celebratory times, Of course, Mexican Independence Day, which is September, not Cinco de Mayo. And it's supposed to be also good for the parties because, you know, it's good the next day. And everybody can get nutrients in their body again after a night of dancing and enjoying the celebration. So this kind of just, I just take a spoon, kind of scrape a little bit of that off the bottom. And I will do, oh yeah, there's still a lot there. This would be good. I may make some enchiladas with this. I don't know yet. We will see. But you can see there's a lot of pulpy stuff left here. So that's all membranes from inside the chilies. It's really, I mean, it looks like a lot of steps. It's very difficult, but it's really not that hard once you've made it a couple times, especially. Kind of get your groove on. But this is one of my favorite soups. And I don't know why I haven't made it earlier in the season. But yeah. And I did make a bunch because we will be having this again. I am going to freeze some for certain. So always make a lot. Like normally this would be made in a huge cauldron, big vat. So let me show you what this sauce is looking like right now. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Can you see that? Wow. I cannot wait. And let me show you over here. Where is it? Oh, sorry, that's a mess. Over in here, I have my my greens and stuff ready to go. So all cut and ready to go. All right, there's the can of Juanita's hominy. I'm going to open these 2 cans. They're, for this, it was, I don't know, I think they're like 25 ounces each. But your other choice is 110 ounces, which is pretty big. That's those giant #1 cans. Now look at that broth. The longer it simmers, the redder it gets. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, now I have both cans in here. And we're just going to let that simmer for about 20 minutes. Then we'll be ready to heat it up. All right, before we plate up, I'm going to show you what I have. I have some shredded cabbage. I like the stems in my cilantro, so I don't pick off the leaves, and I don't have time for that. Lime. And I don't want to waste anything. The flavor's in the stems too. Finely chopped onion, avocado, and we have some tostadas and the Mexican oregano on the side. So here's my bowl. I put some raw onions, cilantro. I have some lime. I had 2 lime, so a whole half lime. Some cabbage, and some avocado. And I'm ready to dig in. Thanks for watching. Let me know what's your favorite pozole, what you like to put in it. Have you ever tried it? Is this something you would try? But thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to dig in. See you later. Bye.